All right, guys, before we get into this lock, I'd like to apologize, first of all, for missing the publishing schedule yesterday. But last Tuesday, I had an incident at work where I ended up in the hospital, and the suspect ended up in jail, probably for the rest of his life. Anyway, I'll overlay the video. You can see it's not that serious. The thing that really screwed up my voice is when the docs put the air tube in so they could fix it. That did all the damage, I think. Anyway, hopefully with a little bit of time, it'll get better. Yesterday, when it was time to publish a video, it was absolutely horrible. And I know it probably still is, but I'm working with what I got. All right, guys, this is a Corbin Cabinet Lock. Huge lock. I got this thing off eBay for 35 bucks. They said it came with a key, and in fact, it did come with a key, but it's a blank key. Now, what's the world coming to when you have to ask them, okay, the key that you're sending to me, is it the key that will actually open the lock, or is it just like some random key? But the advantage of getting a blank key that actually fits in the keyway is that I can use this to impression a key for this lock before I give it away. So kind of a cool thing to at least get a blank key and not some random key. I'm going to pick it, but there's the fastest way to get into these. These are really good locks. Back in the day when they made these, they're really proud of the quality of their work. So the specs on these are pretty tight. The tolerances on the pins are pretty good. These are 5 or possibly 6 pinners. I really haven't checked it out yet. It doesn't really matter because they're all standard pins. And a lot of times you can flex around, play with the tension while you try to rake it. And that's the fastest way to get inside of these things. If it will open, I don't even know. This thing, it does flex, so I suspect it's still free, but you can see this thing probably hadn't been open in many, many years. When we get it open, though, I got a new piece of technology to kind of offset my bad voice today. I got one of these things. This is from Caitlin. This is actually a high magnification camera. We can put the lock down here, and Caitlin wanted to be able to look into locks so she could, so I could show you what the locking mechanisms look like. This is perfect. This is the perfect example to try that on, provided I can rake it open. So let me go ahead and clamp it up, because when you look at these are quite tricky. When you look at these keyways, let me grab a tensioner here real quick and show you what I'm talking about. If you look at the top of that keyway, you'll notice that it's only about half of the width of that little horn that sticks out on our tensioner. So it doesn't matter if you use the thick tensioner or the thin tensioner, it won't quite hang in there. It'll just start to roll. Just when you think you're going to get it, it'll roll out. It doesn't matter if it's the thick one or the thin one. It really doesn't care. It's really designed to roll these right out of there. So then you might say, well, Bill, use bottom of the keyway. And again, whoever designed this was really paying attention. Let's find the thickest tensioner. And when you look at this, take a look at that little piece of warding right there. That is strategically positioned to defeat us. So let's take the thickest tensioner, slide him in there, and you notice that little piece of warding leverages that thing around and binds up that core. So that's clearly not the right one. So the white one is the medium one. Let's take him and put him in there. Let's see what he does. And again, you kind of got the same thing. That little piece of warding wedges him in there really tight, solidly locking up that core. And the blue one just doesn't work at all. Well, we're back to step 1. We're back to our top of the keyway. And so today I'm going to use the top of the keyway as a bottom of the keyway tensioner. I'm going to put him down there just like that. And then I can tension without binding it. So keep that in mind if you're ever going to be facing these little Corbin cabinet locks. All right, let me go and clamp them up, and let's see if we can't make that happen. All right, it is locked, and this key just doesn't work. Sorry about that. All right, it really doesn't matter which tensioner you use. I'm going to use I guess this is the thin one. Just position him down there, and he's just going to wedge onto the bottom. It also, let me grab my left hand, and I'm going to reach up here and try to find pretty much any rake that'll fit into the keyway. This is one of the rakes from the tool collection, the quad humper. So what I'm going to do is just slide them in there and apply moderate tension, and then start raking. And then it's not going to work because they're going to just start to bind up. And then I'm just going to keep raking, and increasing the tension on the tensioner as you go. Hopefully, I can get them to bind in the correct order. So let's do that. Uncock it, a little bit of tension, start raking, and slowly but surely increase that tension. And there you go. Getting into these cabinet locks, these Corbins, is really that easy. It's so much easier to rake them than it is to SPP them. Now, I have not opened him before, and he has probably not been opened in forever. Anyway, this is what I'm interested in. I think this is what Caitlin is interested in as well. So why don't I go ahead and clamp this thing up inside of the high magnification, and let's look down inside of there. When you take a look, this is a spring-loaded locking pawl. You can see him like there, and he's a very powerful spring on him. And around the edge here is a little ledge. Now this is a really well-designed one, just like the rest of this lock. There's a ledge on the right, all the way across the top, and on the left. Now, why is that important? Well, because if you take your shim and you try to slide him in there from the side, he's going to get hung up right there on the side of that locking pawl. And that happens, of course, on both sides. You can't get him around that sharp edge. And because you have a ledge here on the very top, right there, sticks out a little bit and embeds itself into the cutout on the lock, when you try to put the shim in from the inside, as we normally do, he's going to get stuck on that flat side, just like that, and you're not going to be able to slide him in there to push that detent out of the way. So these are really, really great little locks. Very well designed. Somebody put a lot of thought into the locking pawl and how deep it would engage itself inside of that shackle. They spent a lot of time on the precision, but unfortunately, at least in this case, that precision's kind of working against them when it comes to the raking and slowly but surely increasing the tension while you rake them, basically SPP with a rake, and you rake them in sequence in the correct binding order. Anyway, I am going to lock this bad boy back up. I'm going to take my key, and before I send this out to somebody, I'll do my best to impression this key and make a key for it. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal. If you like the idea of growing the lock sport community, please consider supporting the Lock Lab by either becoming a Patreon or clicking the join button below.